All right, a few people here already. Hi there, I say. Wow, all right. EA, Ariel Marshall is here. Awesome. Let me just see if I have audio and video. Hold on. Ariel Marshall. Yep, I do. I have audio and video. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. So here's the thing. At the risk of having viewer fatigue set in, I'm going live for the second time today. For the first time I'm doing this. I don't think I've ever went live twice in one day. And what I want to do is basically, I went live, what was it, 12 and a half hours ago, 10 a.m. Israel time. And I know that a lot of people in North America, right, the US, Canada, who are the most of my viewers, according to the analytics, were probably asleep or getting things ready for the holiday. And so I said, you know what? I still have questions unanswered. I still have things I'd want to get done. Let's do it now. I don't care if there's viewer fatigue. Let's try. Let's experiment a little bit. So Ariel Marshall is here, Robert Harrison is here, and we will start with Robert Harrison's question, and then we'll move on to other ones from the previous evenings. Robert asks, if a Nazarite's spouse drank wine and then kissed the spouse, is that okay? So yes, it is okay, because first of all, halachically, you need a certain amount to be considered transgression. Second of all, there's no intent on your part to partake of wine. It's simply residue that's on your spouse's lips. Conceivably, if the man or woman, the spouse, is holding in their mouth the amount, I don't remember precisely what it is, a revi'it, I don't remember precisely how much it is, the volume that needs to be, let's say for all intents and purposes that you can hold that in your mouth, right? Which I think you can, maybe. That's melologumav, that's revi'it, maybe not. Point is, there is the possibility, right, of having somebody hold something in their mouth and then shotgun, right, kissing someone else and transfer. It has to do with intent, it has to do with volume, but no, there wouldn't be a problem. There wouldn't be a problem, I believe, if the Nazarite's spouse kissed the Nazarite and transferred some residue of wine. That's not what that's about, I believe. Jolene Dyson said, why do you Jews have that beard and that hair? Just wondering. So not all Jews have this hair. I dare say many Jews do not have this hair. We do have the side curls. Now, I had side curls back when I took my vow, so the hair just grew around my curly side curls. Now, the Jews have the beard because the beard is a certain representation, right, of a divine revelation called the right hand or chesed or loving kindness. And the two curls represent what's called din shel kodesh, meaning a sacred judgment or a sacred part of the left hand. And when you have the right hand, which is the beard, and the left hand, which is the two pieces, right, the hair, coming together, and the hair from the head touching the beard, that can bring about certain divine revelations into the world, right? The way that you manifest yourself in the world, because you are made in the image of God, the way that you manifest whether you're a man or a woman, it bespeaks a certain divine revelation for the same reason that the king of Israel cuts his hair every day, and the Nazarite lets his hair grow wild. And priests, okay, are not allowed to have their hair grow wild and then, well, let's put it this way, that they can't, no, let's leave it at that. Certain things that have to do with hair, whether it's the hair of the face, whether it's the hair of the head, they manifest certain things in the individual. Like, of course you can just grow out your hair. Of course you can just grow out your beard. The reason that Jews do it is because it has a certain meaning. And more halachically, practically, technically, it says that you are not allowed to shave the corners, right, of your face. And so there's this idea that you can trim, but you're not supposed to rip things out with the root, which is why Jews don't use a razor to shave their face, but they could, presumably, use a razor for other parts of their body. Although, halachically speaking, as a man, you're not supposed to shave certain parts of your body either. But it really does depend on the circumstances. If the women in your culture do it, maybe you ought not do it, and that sort of thing. All right, let's continue. How long did it take to grow that hair? So I took my vow about 15 years ago, but I already had long-ish kind of hair. And so, but yeah, 15, I think it's something like 17 years since I cut my hair, something like that. But 15 years since I took my vow. King 632 says, are you a Torah Jew or a Talmudic Jew? So the Torah is the written Torah, and the Talmud and the Mishnah, right, are the oral traditions that were written down. I mainly stick, I believe, to both of them. If I had to choose, I would go with the written Torah, but I believe that both coincide, and that the oral traditions before they were written down and now that they are written down, that's a problem, but it's a problem that, like, it's a necessary evil that happened, because if that didn't happen, the Torah, the oral traditions may have been lost because of destruction and exile. And so they did the unthinkable, and they wrote down the oral Torah, something that was never supposed to happen, but it did. So I'm more of a Torah Jew in the sense of the 5 books of Moses are what everything else is pointing back to. The prophets, the writings, the scrolls. But I'm a Talmudic Jew in the sense that I do believe that halacha is something that we need to go by. I don't keep strict halacha anymore, but I see the benefit in it, and I know that it has a lot of merit. All right, let's go to this chat and see if there's anything here. Never viewer fatigue with HN. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Hey, can I ask a question? Sure. What's on your mind, human? Ask away. Living 1980s. DL3472, what is a Jew? So a Jew is a person from the tribes of Israel. More specifically, if they come from the kingdom of Judah, or if they lived in Judea. For instance, Mordechai, right, in the scroll of Esther, he was of the tribe of Benjamin, but he's not called a Yemini, he's called a Yehudi, and then a Yemini, meaning a Jew from the tribe of Benjamin. The question is asked, how can he be both? He's either of Judah or of Benjamin. The thing is that the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Judah were part of the kingdom of Judah, so he was of the tribe of Benjamin, but a Jew. In the very same way, me and my ancestors come from here, Judea, the area around Jerusalem, and we are from the kingdom of Judah. So, what is a Jew? A Jew is somebody who accepts the Torah, who accepts the one Hebrew God, who takes on the yoke of commandments. That basically is a Jew. Hello from Wyoming. Hey, DJ Puck. Good to see you, man. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all those who celebrate Christmas. Hey, there he is, Ariel144K. Shalom, shalom, and to you. What is halacha? Halacha is rabbinic law. That's what halacha is. Halacha literally means in Hebrew a path, a way to walk. And it's something that, according to rabbinic Orthodox Judaism, the written Torah and the oral Torah came in together. The thing is that because of the destruction of the temple and so on, the oral traditions had to be written down lest they be forgotten. But it's a problem. Ariel says, have you filled in form B779 for the right to ask questions? It's a good question. Did he? I don't know, but I'll do it anyway. You know, I'm feeling generous. Hello from Bernardo O'Higgins, Antarctica. For real? What do you know about the 5 dancing Israelis? Which 5 dancing Israelis? There are many dancing Israelis. Stretch HP, what do you know? Tell me what you know about the 5 dancing Israelis, and I'll tell you what I don't know or do know about the 5 dancing Israelis. So I have a lovely cup of chai with me, 2 streams, 1 cup, and it's still a bit too hot. I'll wait. What is Israel? Israel is the 12 tribes of Israel. Israel is also the name of this place, right? It was called Canaan, and then we renamed it Yisrael because we showed up with Joshua and we took over in a 13-year-long war of conquest. Why don't you wear the Sudra, Soldier Boy 22? Why don't I? Hey, Soldier Boy, we were in the comments earlier, or was Yoda a Jew? I'm not sure. Why don't I wear a Sudra? Well, what do you mean? It depends. I don't wear any kind of artifact, and isn't a Sudra from wool, and I'm vegan, so I don't wear the Sudra. Hold on a second. I think the traditional Sudra is from wool, but I don't recall. Hi from Romania. Hey, I am Ralucayunielana. Hi there. It's good to see you, man. Good to see you from Romania. Jove House says, have you stacked any donuts on it? On what? On my dreads? Or on my penis? What are we talking about here? Stretch HP said they were Mossad agents, 2 of them at least, and they were watching 911, taking pictures and laughing and celebrating. I have no idea. No idea what you're talking about, man. Hey, Henry, what's up? Henry KW2KS. Shy Weed Demon, great username, says a non-religious guy over here, we should ban religion all over the world. Yes, everybody who thinks that religion should be banned definitely has a point. Because in many cases, some cases, I don't know, many, in some cases, the religion is really truly the opiate of the masses, and it's used to put people down, and it's used to keep them under control, and it's used to be superior to them, and all of that bad stuff. However, I am of the opinion that religion stems from spirituality. Spirituality is of great merit. So even if you are a non-religious person, you can still cultivate a relationship with the Most High God, independent of religion. Now, obviously, religion has merit because it's a discipline, it's a path, it's a way. It's something that you can take on, and it can bring a lot of wisdom with it if you take it on with humility and in earnest, and you commit, right? You dedicate yourself to something, and that has meaning. The thing is that religion has gotten a very bad rap, and because of that, spirituality has also gotten a bad rap. It shouldn't be that way, but I definitely understand anybody who says that religion should be banned, just outright banned all over the world, chuck all the religious books, burn them all, and that's it. One of my favorites is take all the religious people everywhere, put them on some godforsaken island, and let them hash it out there. But leave the regular folk alone. The people who don't want religion, the people who don't want anything shoved down their throats. We'll be able to work it all out. If you guys just go do your crazy thing over there, talk to any imaginary deities you want. We'll just be here, playing Rummikub. So I understand people who say that. I don't support that. I think religion has a very ancient root, obviously, whether it's in spirituality in and of itself, or whether it's in one of the first instincts that humans have is a kind of worship and religion. And I say that technically, I'm making like a broad generalization. We do have that instinct towards spirituality, and we are a social animal, and that already kind of breeds religion, so to speak. But yeah, hey, Handy Andy. Hi, Handy Andy from Canada. How are you, man? See, it's for people like Robert and Handy Andy and Ariel Marshall that I decided, you know what? Even though it might be stupid, I'm going to go live again for the people who were asleep when I went live earlier today. Superman says, please subscribe to his channel and don't forget to smash that like button. Merry Christmas to everybody. Bye-bye. Hey, Superman, I appreciate that. Though, you could do what you want. Sub, don't sub, like, don't like. It's all good. I love engaging with people. It's very enlivening. It's very enlightening. And this is what I'm here for. It's great. What made you vegan? Asks Henry. Well, I was a vegetarian at the time. When I took on my Nazarite vow, I also decided to go vegan as a kind of way to sanctify life. Part of what the Nazarite vow is about is the sanctification of life, or at least in my perception, from the verses and from the way that I perceived it. And so, because I'm a Samson Nazarite and I can be defiled by death, human corpses, right? Human death, corpses, I decided I still wanted to do something. Instead of abstaining from contact with the dead, I decided to sanctify the living. And even though I still do abstain from cemeteries, funerals, and the like, back when I took my vow, I was still in active duty as a reservist, and my job in the army was of a field medic. And so I knew that if I took that vow, and there was still a chance of me coming into contact with a dead human, and there was a chance, that it would be kind of contradictory, and I didn't want to say something and be hypocritical about it, and I also, well, let's leave it at that. So I took a Samson vow for different reasons, but that one as well, and it's for life, and I took the veganism on along with it, and I also took on abstaining from all alcohol, even though the Nazarite technically is allowed to drink from alcohol that is not of grape origin. Let's continue. Why do people ask ridiculous questions and you remain so calm, says Shami Golsa. Well, what else am I going to do? I mean, this is about free speech. It's about engaging with people. It's about discourse. People want to spew hate, let them. People want to say things, whatever, blah, 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 let them. I'm all about letting people do what they will. I don't kick anybody out. I don't ban anybody. Again, one time I banned somebody, once, and that's after they didn't stop spamming for several live streams over the course of like a couple of weeks, so I had to ban them then. Imagine the stench, says Dave Deddy5828. No, I actually don't stink. I know. Of course I stink. I'm a Hebe, a Kike, a Shylock, a Big Nose, a Yid, a Jew. However, the hair doesn't stink, thankfully. My wife would tell me. And the rest of me doesn't stink either. So that's pretty good. It's a pretty good deal. To be me and not stink? How lucky can one man get? Okay. Wait. It just jumped. I'm sorry. There. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Norway here says the Verpa. What is a Verpa? I'm curious. Do let me know. We should ban religion all over the world. Yeah, so I agreed with you. Is it fun to stay at the YMCA? Asks Cook Sushi. You know, I've never been to the YMCA to stay there. I've been to the YMCA for musical concerts. I've been to the YMCA as a sound and lighting technician, like, the crew, here and there. But no, I never stayed at the YMCA. I popped over to the YMCA, and it was pretty awesome. The YMCA here in Jerusalem is beautiful. Truly it is. And I did send my kid, the older one, to the YMCA summer camp twice. So that was pretty cool. Bro was an army medic. Respect, hit the like. It's like I'm very, very thankful being a field medic and an infirmary medic. I was both for different times, taught me a lot. Me and my platoon were close, and if necessary, I'll go back. But I hope, look, if they need to bring me back, that means we are in real deep shit. And I hope I'll never have to join the army again. May we have peace. May all the armies disband. May murder and bloodshed and war be taken away from the world, even right now at this very moment. Peace on earth, goodwill towards man. Huh? What better time? What better time, I ask you? How long were you a medic for? So I was an infirmary medic for a couple of years in my mandatory duty service here in Israel. And I did go outside to the field, but only here and there. And during my time as a reservist, I was with a tank platoon, an armored corps platoon. I was their medic, and then I wasn't an infirmary medic. Then I was a field medic, combat medic. So my training is in being a combat medic. Sometimes I was in the infirmary, and I learned a lot there because there it's not just me and a paramedic or something, or me alone in the field. There we have a couple of doctors. I learned a lot of medicine from them, a lot of trauma helping the doctors and doing my own thing if I'm alone in the field. But there is really, truly only so much one lone medic can do with a platoon of people who've just been hit with an RPG. You know what I'm saying? But yes, it was a great honor and a privilege to be a medic, and thankfully, it taught me a lot, and I wasn't exposed to too many horrendous things, I must say. But yeah, it taught me a lot. More than anything, being a combat medic taught me to appreciate boredom. If I'm not needed, that's a good thing. Nobody call me. I don't want to hear my name on the radio. I don't want to get a call. I don't want to be paged. Nothing. Let everything continue. Don't need me. Please do not need me. If I'm needed, that's not a good thing. Now, as an infirmary medic, that was a different story. Different people came in for checkups. I did the regular, let's say, flu shots for the entire base. And yeah, people came in who were sick. People came in who were injured because we also had a lot of training around the base. But yeah, and I mean, we had people actually in the hospital for stayovers for a few days. I was like a part nurse for some of these people, and that also taught me a lot about being a good bedside, manner, about bedside manner, and being a kind of person who sometimes they were just lonely and they needed someone to talk to. Being a medic on call all night was sometimes not fun. Sleeping in the infirmary on the bed, memories, memories. Why do you wear your hair like that? Michael asks. I am a Nazarite, and the Nazarite lets his or her hair grow long and wild. Do you pray to a black cube on Saturn? You sicko, says a ghost. Hey, Saturn? Hey, have you been to Saturn? Sandworms. Am I right? Why the hair? So yeah, I just answered why the hair. Do you think the fly shots works? What the heck is a fly shot? What is a fly shot? It seems like something I should know because I studied film. What is a fly shot? Is it like a fly POV? I don't know. Are you Jew? Asks Radiant. Yes, I am. I am a Hebrew man, a Jew of Judea, of the kingdom of Judah. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Your body natural immune system is the best, says Josh G. Hey, Josh G, good to see you again, man. Is it Josh G or Josh G? I don't hard G or soft G? You live in Eretz Yisrael? Yes, I do. I'm in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem, noise like 1, 2, 3, as we speak. You even look like you smell. Wet hole and slick pole. There's a great username if I've ever seen one. There's nothing quite like a wet hole and a slick pole. Yeah, I look like I smell. Pretty much. Yeah. Why is converting so expensive? So converting is not expensive at all. If you go through a modern day rabbinic Orthodox conversion, it's expensive, it takes a very long time. However, it shouldn't be that way. Conversion can take exactly 2 minutes. All you need is two witnesses that are from the tribes of Israel, and you need to say, I from now on take on the laws of the Jewish faith, the laws of the Torah and its commandments. I forsake all pagan gods and all pagan sort of worship, and take on the yoke of the one Hebrew God. That's pretty much all it takes. Furthermore, when the convert came to Hillel, a sage at the time of the Temple era, and he said, I wanted to convert, and he told him, what you hate, do not do unto your fellow. That is the entire Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and read it and learn it. So that's what I'm going to say as well. Bryant Pross 1456 says, I would like to orbit Saturn. That gas giant would be very beautiful to see up close. The thing is, the gravity would tear you to shreds, and you'd die instantaneously if you wanted to see it up close. So no, I don't think so. Why would anyone want to convert to Jew, says DL3472? A good question. Why be part of the minority? Why on earth would you want to be part of such a persecuted people? But some people do. Some people just want to be Jewish. I don't know why. I was born a Hebrew man. I hope to die a Hebrew man, whether I want it or not. That's what's going to happen. And so why would anyone do it? I don't know. I've asked converts that I've met, and they said that they felt a pull towards Torah. Some of them started off, let's say, Christian, but the more they learned about Jesus, the more they said, oh, wait a minute, he was a Jew. Let's go with that. I love the Jewish people, says Garrett Lee. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Love humanity. Humanity, sometimes it's such a pile of crap, but sometimes, maybe even most of the times, humanity is awesome. There's something about humans that's so fascinating. They have the capacity for such malevolence, but also for such benevolence. And hopefully, each and every one of us, with the things we do, with the way we think, with the way we act, with what we say, we will be able to tip the scales every second, every day, a little bit more towards the good. Torah or Talmud, says Adam. Well, both, but Torah before Talmud in the sense that the Torah is the written Torah which is written, but the Talmud is the oral Torah which was written, which was not supposed to happen, but it did. So yeah, I'll say Torah before Talmud in that sense. Also because I believe that everything else is pointing back to Torah. You know what I mean? Does God know our private prayers in our head, says Mr. D. Michael. Well, I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. And so if you say that there is they say that there are different revelations, right? There's a very broad general revelation of God, the creator who created everything. And then there's the part of God that jives with you, that speaks to you on a personal level, if only you would be open to hearkening to the voice. You know what I'm saying? So in that sense, yes, that revelation knows what's in your heart. That revelation knows what's in your mind. That revelation of God is the know-it-all. But that's only just a revelation. It's not God itself or himself or herself. These are just ways in which we speak, right, to try to convey these spiritual matters with physical terms. But none of these are attributed to God, him or herself. So yeah. Small hat, says DenMC725. Small hat? What do you mean, small hat? Rastafarian Ari Schaefer, says 1LLOG1K. Thanks, man. His comedy is hit and miss with me. Some of it I laugh, some of it I don't. All right, I think it's pretty good. Yeah, it's nice. It's not too hot. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu, melech ha'olam, shehakol niyeh b'dvaro. I am slurping some chai tea right here, and it's so much fun, right, to give the blessing and to say a quick grace before you partake of any nourishment, to bring together the physical and the spiritual. Okay. Says Sadie, but if you don't go through a Beit Din approval, you are not considered a Jew. Right, so by Orthodox halacha, you're not considered a proper Jew. By the Bible and by God, for instance, you are. Otherwise, Hillel would say no such thing. Absolutely no such thing. The thing is that you need to have the conversion, if you want to be part of a Jewish community, and be recognized by a rabbinate, more specifically the Orthodox rabbinate, like the OU, the Orthodox Union, Then you need to go through a Beit Din, a rabbinic court. But even them, right? It's not a Sanhedrin. These people have no smicha, no laying of the hands. They took tests which made them rabbis, and then they took tests which made them dayanim, rabbis in the court, of a rabbinic court. But these are, again, only the remnants of what used to be. The remnants of what used to be, and that's a problem. And what used to be is that we had no rabbinate. What used to be is that people could convert and take on the covenant on their own, in front of a couple of witnesses, circumcise if they haven't, go to the mikveh, the ritual pool, immerse themselves, and they are reborn. Right? Aseni keger shenitgayer v'katan shenolad, we say before we dunk in the mikveh. Make me as a convert and as a small child who was just born. Handy Andy, as an IDF conscript, did you ever fire the Desert Eagle or the Jericho 941? So no, I had a Galil, which is the Israeli version of a shortened AK-47, a Galil and a Glilon, which is the longer and shorter version. I shot an M16, I shot an M4. When I was a security guard, later, after the army, I did shoot a Desert Eagle, and I shot a couple of Glocks. I also shot a couple of submachine guns in the army, training, all training. Thankfully, there were 2 times in my life where I had my finger on the trigger. Thankfully, both times I did not need to pull the trigger. One of them was a close one. One of them was a lot less close, but I had it there just for safety. 2 times I had my finger on the trigger, and I'm very thankful to the Most High God I did not have to pull the trigger either time. That second time was close. Ugh. Okay, let's continue. Hello, I finally caught alive, says Connie. Connie O'Neill has been back and forth with me in the comments. It's very lively. It's very lovely. Thank you for the encouragement and the kind words. I deeply appreciate it, Connie. It's fun engaging with you, whether it's here or there. Hebrew Nazarite, what is your favorite gun? Well, look, I did basic training with my Glilon, right, the shortened Israeli AK-47. The thing is that it has, well, never mind. The Glilon, right, it's based on the AK-47, basically. The Glilon is the rifle that I went through basic training with, and I slept with it, right? I literally slept with it in my sleeping bag. So I have a connection with the Glilon, because even though the M4 is more accurate, the Glilon, right, the Glilon can just take all kinds of punishment and still fire. That's what I loved about that. That's what I loved about that rifle. I loved that about that rifle. It could eat so much dirt and mud and muck and sweat and tears and blood and still fire like a pro. The M16 and the M4 are more accurate. They weigh significantly less. But they don't take as much punishment as the others, as the Galil or the Glilon. So I guess if you're going to say a favorite, I think that would be my favorite, just because I have the most intimate and deepest experiences with a Glilon, even though it weighs a crapload. Nathan Outside says, what do you think about all the Jew hate that's getting popular again, like on YouTube and X? Well, it's not again. Jew hate is always popular. It doesn't take much to spark that lovely fire of hatred inside of the people. So what do I think of it? I think that any kind of bigotry and hatred is not good. I think that it can... What benefit does it serve? Right? Let's look at it that way. Let's say that the Jew ought to be hated. What is it serving? Who is it serving? Follow the money. Those are the questions, right? Now, if you're just saying Jew hatred just for the sake of hating, yeah, Jews have been hated all the time. There's nothing new under the sun. If you're saying, no, it's because Jews did something in particular, then let's talk specifics. Show me what it is. Give me the scenario. Tell me the story, and I'll tell you if it's justified. Because there are times when we know Jews might do something, and people will go, oh, man, those frickin' Jews. I don't know, and who's to say? Who's to say? Is that the rifle that has a bottle opener? The rifle that has a bottle opener, yeah, I suppose it does. YouTube NER 1298. I love how much Americans know about the guns. I wish it was as legal in my country as it is in USA. Well, I'm not in the US. I'm in Israel, and we have tons of armed people here all the time, whether it's a personal firearm or whether it's what they're carrying in the army. Bro looks like a stereotype, says I will 29703. Yes, I am definitely a stereotype. Definitely, definitely. The thing is that you've got negative stereotypes and positive stereotypes. Hopefully, I'll give you a little of column A, a little bit of column B there. Abiko says, how do you feel about the fact that the state of Israel is increasing Jew hate around the world? This is a problem. Israel makes mistake like any state. When it comes to the Jews, there are tons of double standards, like glaring double standards. And I think that the state of Israel has a nugget of truth and righteousness to it and goodness to it, despite all its faults and shortcomings, that it's worth it. Because Jews will be hated one way or another. At least now we once again have a sovereign state, which means a lot, because we haven't had a sovereignty in the land of Israel since the Hashmonai dynasty and since the Second Temple fell. And by that time, Rome was already in control here. So, I mean, how do I feel? I feel the state of Israel is a necessity. It's a must. And it's why the UN endorsed it at the time. Because the Hebrew people need a place to call home. And of course, now people are saying, go back to where you belong. And when we were in the diaspora, they said, go back to where you came from. So, you know. What's your favorite food, bro? Well, you know, a pita, falafel, hummus, trina, salad, chips, fried onion, eggplant. My favorite food is falafel in a pita. Well, not even in a pita, in a lafa, which is like a bread, like the bread that you roll up. Do you believe Jesus is Lord and the Messiah? Asks Simon E89. No, I don't. I believe he could have been a very good man, a potential Messiah, a potential sage, potential king, but he's died, and when he died, that's it. I believe he was a righteous man. I would have been happy to call him master at the time if I was around at the time, but he's dead, so he's not the Lord, he's not the Messiah, he's just a dead guy who we can learn a lot from, no doubt. From his dealings and doings, his parables, speaking to the people, the way that he had humility about him is inspiring. But he is not Lord and Savior or anything of this sort, because he died, and once you're dead, you're dead. Oh, and even if you're resurrected 3 days later, you're still not worshipped as a God incarnate or Lord and Savior. We do not follow the dead, we follow the living. Noiselike says, in 9th grade, a senior, way older and bigger than they called me a kike. I fought him then. They drew, I'm assuming, a swastika on my desk. Later on, somebody said I killed his God, meaning Jesus. Now I understand. Yeah, well, again, Jew hatred is really popular all the time. It doesn't take much to set it off. It's really, truly baked into parts of Europe, baked into parts of the Muslim world, baked into parts of the Arab world. Those are not necessarily the same thing. So, yeah. Have you read the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah? Yes, I have, many times. I wouldn't claim to know it back and forth, but I read the Bible regularly. More specifically Torah, but also the writings, also the scrolls, also the prophets. Enjoyed my time here, brother. Gotta run, says Handy Andy. Hey, you hang tight. Stay classy, Handy Andy. What's on my mind, says Not So Private. I don't accept Jesus as God, as it's annoying, but what's really annoying is the fact that there's a difference between Brit Ilia. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure what Brit Ilia means. Connie says, why do you think Elijah and Enoch did not experience death? Because they had to fulfill another purpose. Right? Hanoch is Eliyahu. Eliyahu is Pinchas. Or Hanoch is Pinchas. Pinchas is Eliyahu. You had a different job that you had to do. Those two received a different job, right? Elijah became the angel of the covenant. And Hanoch became the angel Metatron, it's said. And so, these are human beings who did not experience death, because once you experience death, you shed the body, and you're given, right, you go on to a waiting room. But they were not supposed to wait in a waiting room. They still have a job to do here in this world. And so Hanoch and Eliyahu did not experience death in the traditional sense. They took off their clothing of humanity, and they put on angelic clothing, so to speak. And the angel of the covenant and the angel of the 6 days of creation, Eliyahu and Hanoch, respectively, they have a new task, a different job. But don't take my word for it. That's just me regurgitating things that I've heard. And yes, let's leave it at that. Would you want to answer the question, says Nashenas. Did you ever shoot and or kill anyone? No, I answered it just recently, a few minutes ago. I had my finger on the trigger twice, and thankfully I did not need to pull the trigger either time. So thank God, never had to shoot anyone, never had to kill anyone. I did treat a couple of people who've been shot at, but no. Thankfully, no. Palestine, 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 says Emir Azaz. Yes, Palestine, 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 Palestine. Loser, says Shy Weed Demon. Palestine isn't anything really, says Ching. Wait, what's the name? Chingapichi. Yeah, Palestine is just the name that Rome gave this province when they took over. They wanted the Jews to forget Judea. They called it Provincia Syria Palestina. It means absolutely nothing nowadays. It's not a people. It's not a heritage. It's not it's just all an invention from the 1960s. However, label aside, as I say all the time, labels aside, we have humans here. Humans, people like you and me. We got to make peace. We got to make that happen. We got to de-radicalize. We got to make the extremes. We got to get that out of there. Seriously, man. But there is the problem of indoctrination in religion, right? The religion of Islam and the Jewish religion, both of them with their fanatics, they're making it very difficult for the middle of the bell curve to come together. The establishment and the leadership on both sides have made terrible mistakes. So no. Why don't you ever have guests on your stream? So I did have guests on my streams. Occasionally I do have guests on my streams. I had one recently, a week ago and 2 weeks ago. I had a dialogue. One was with Yira Ha'ari, and one was with Gila Jedwab, who is one of his followers, and they claim that he is the Messiah himself. And I had them on separately, one after the other. So I have guests on my streams occasionally, and I am interested in a dialogue. If you want to have a dialogue, by all means, hit me up. Let's do this. It's always fun to talk, always fun to engage, whether it's in the chat, whether it's in the comments, whether it's live here with me. Let's make it happen. Hit me up, in the DMs, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, here. Search for my tree, Hebrew Nazarite, across the board. Hit me up. Let's talk. Let's jive. Let's schmooze. Okay, let's continue here in the chat. Why did y'all take Kirk out? I'm assuming you mean Charlie Kirk. I've heard that idea that Jews took him out. I don't think I believe it. He was a great supporter of Israel. He was a great supporter of the Jewish people. There's absolutely no reason why, presumably, for me, in my limited and narrow understanding, there's absolutely no reason why the Jews would take out Charlie Kirk when he was so fond of the Jews. But who's to say? Maybe it did happen, and I have no idea why. Caspian asks, can you explain why they've been kicked out of so many countries at record rates throughout history? Well, basically, the Jews keep to themselves. And some people see that as snobbish and bad behavior. And then when they do try to assimilate, they give them crap for that. Jews have been traditionally in positions of power. Jews were famously allowed to charge interest when they loan money to people of the nations, and they are not allowed to do that with their Hebrew brother or sister. So many times they were in positions of power. Many times they were in positions of leadership. Many times they were the thinkers and movers and shakers of a place. These things undermine certain establishments, governments, I don't know what. And the Jews separate themselves. Look, what did Haman tell the King Xerxes, Ahasuerus, in the story of Esther, the scroll of Esther? He says, there's one people in your kingdom, O king, who are spread out all over. They didn't even congregate as one in a certain piece of land, right? So they're spread out all over, and their religion and their paths and their ways and their rules are different from all of the other rules of the nations that are under your rule in your kingdom. And they don't go along with the orders of the king. Those were his claims about the Jewish people. And it's true. It's true. And that's in part what makes the Jews so different, right? We're all over the place like cockroaches, they say, and we should be stamped out like cockroaches, they also go and say. And we indeed have different rules. So do other faiths and religions. I don't know what the big whoop is, but okay. And there are times when the Jews, perhaps, would go against what was mandated by the local leader. Now, there's a rule in the Talmud that says, Dina de malchuta dina. In other words, the law of the kingdom is the law. In other words, and I don't know if you know this, but the Jews in the lands of the diaspora are supposed to pray for the peacekeeping and the well-being of their leadership. I used to have an old prayer book from my grandmother, may she rest in peace, on my father's side, who grew up in New York, and she had a prayer book, and in it there would be a prayer for the president and the vice president. In an Orthodox Jewish prayer book, there would be a prayer for the well-being and the health and wellness and good and the sovereignty, right, of the president and the vice president of the United States of America, written there in Hebrew, in Yiddish, and in English. And so there is this idea of the divine revelation and emanation that comes into the world, comes in through different channels, and one of those is through the Hebrew people. And when the Hebrew people are spread out among the nations and in the diaspora, part of that wellness and goodness, let's say, and the divine revelation and influence and emanation that comes, the positive things, I mean, that come into that place, they are also, right, it becomes part of the nation that they are in and part of the place that they are in. It is also blessed there, right? What did God tell Avram or Abraham later, right? He told him, I will bless those that bless you and curse those that curse you. Something like that. There's a kind of symbiotic relationship in a way, maybe not complete symbiosis, but there's a give and take there between the Jewish people and the country where they happen to be. And as such, the Jews are supposed to pray for the well-being of the local leadership. And the local leadership would do well to let the Jews do their thing, so long as they don't stick their schnoz too far into anyone's business, to let them do their thing. Because, right, we give to each other, we take from each other, and we can live together. The Jews have done this for so many years with all the places that they arrived at. In some places they assimilated more, and in other places they assimilated less. Sometimes they were completely like part of the local population. Sometimes they were all together in ghettos in survival mode. And either way, whichever one it was, they were either too rich or too poor, too religious or too secular, too socialist or too capitalist, or too communist or too I don't know what. There was always something against the Jews. And if there was a problem, it's those Jews. If something happened to you, it's those Jews. It's 5 degrees of separation, right? Even less between something happening in the world and a Jew being blamed for it. Dr. Gad Saad has a great talk on this. He keeps mentioning it, but I won't get into it now. So that's what kind of what I think. So I can't explain it, but I can address it, and hopefully I addressed it a little bit. Okay, let's see. Rich Raven says, only 2 tribes in Israel, Yehuda and Binyamin, and parts of Levi. Don't forget the Levites. I'm a Levite. Yes, the kingdom of Judah was made up of Judah, Benjamin, and parts of the tribe of Levi, priests and Levites. Because the temple was there, there was a lot of the tribe of Levi that was also there, even though, well, yeah, let's put it that way. So it's 3 tribes, 1 kingdom, or 2.5 tribes, 1 kingdom of Judah. We still have the 10 lost tribes, and we still have parts of the tribe of Levi, priests and Levites all over the world who may not even know they are priests and Levites. Ofanim Cherub says, tell us what the Jews feel about Jesus. Pit of shit, right? Fuck you. No, I personally don't think that Jesus is rotting and boiling in a pit of shit. It does say something like that in the Talmud, but first of all, it's not necessarily that Jesus of Nazareth, Yeshu HaNotzri, not necessarily. Jesus, the name Jesus is mentioned a few times in the Talmud, and it's not at all clear that that's who they're talking about. Second, I take that with a grain of salt, because this was back when the Talmud was being written in the 3rd century, and that's when Christianity started to really come into its own, as far as Emperor Constantine and the Roman Empire being all religious and Christian, where before they persecuted the Christians, the people who wrote down the Talmud said, okay, maybe they said, we gotta nip this in the bud. Let's say that the origin of Christianity is rotting in a pit of shit. I don't think he's in a pit of shit at all. I think he was a righteous man who lived a righteous life and died a righteous death. So I don't think that at all. But if you say fuck you, no, Marcellus Wallace don't like to be fucked by anyone except Mrs. Wallace. And she's right up there. And she's asleep, I hope, if I'm not waking her up. And I'm not going to wake her up right now. So thanks, Ofanim Cherub. Incidentally, Ofanim and Kruvim are 2 choirs of angels, more to do with this world. Okay, let's continue. YouTube RNF says, Bible is not always easy to understand. Please tell me you'll answer my question so I can ask it without you missing it. I don't know if I'll miss it or not. I'm just randomly picking things in the chat as they're coming in. I'm missing tons of questions, tons of comments. I love you, good people. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your kind and gentle attention, your questions and your comments. It enlivens me so much. I get so much out of it, very egocentrically and egotistically so. And I'm sorry I can't get to every single question right now. There are so many people here, so many kind and lovely people here. You're an embarrassment to the Jews, says Real Jack Matt. Yeah, likely. I likely am an embarrassment to the Jews. But I think that anyone who would look past the cover would understand that there is still some merit to the things I am saying, because I'm not making broad generalizations, unlike some people in the chat. But yes, definitely many Jews would be embarrassed by me, and to them I say, more power to you. If you want to be embarrassed by me, by all means. I mean, I take a very simple view, right, of the Torah and of the faith and of the people and of the nation. And if it's too simple, I'm ignorant. I'm not an educated man. I see things as, right, I'm an Am Haaretz. That's what I am. I'm just a man among my people. I don't claim to have any truth, knowledge. I'm not a sage. I'm not a scholar. I'm not a rabbi. I'm not a historian. I'm not an academic. I'm none of those things. I'm just a simple dumbass in the Middle East. And if that embarrasses some people, I'd say they're just a little too uptight, personally. Chilul Hashem with your mouth, says Real Jack Matt. Please, pray tell, how did I desecrate the name of the Holy One, blessed be He, with my mouth? Please, if you can, give me precisely what I said that would be considered desecration. Are you a fart smeller, says Something Wong 21. Depends on the fart. If it's a fart where someone says, oh, dude, you got to check out this fart, I might. If it's my kids, I might smell it to see, was it just a fart? Do I need to change a diaper? Do you need to sit on the potty? As for like a fart fetishist, I'm not a fart fetishist, but gas is part of life. And I have lit farts on fire many years ago as a boy. Maybe a late childhood. I lit a few farts on fire. But I'm not like a fetishist. I don't get off like that. Okay, let's continue. You think about that, says Real Jack Matt. Wait, come on, Jack Matt, you can't just leave me hanging. You can't just leave me hanging. Tell me what it was. How did I desecrate the name of God? Please tell me. What's up, bro, says Scuba Steve. It's all good. SCUBA is an acronym. I forget it right now. I'll remember. But yes, SCUBA it's underwater breathing apparatus. Self-containing underwater breathing apparatus. That's the acronym of SCUBA, in case you didn't know. How good is your faith with the Maccabees? Well, the Maccabees were part of the tribe of Levi, and that's me. And the Maccabees were a dynasty of kings, and they were in the kingdom of Judah. So it's pretty much the same deal. This dude says Gabarbitz. This dude is an Ashkenazi or an Amalekite, an Edomite. He's a convert. Well, first of all, if I'm a convert, I'm 100% Jew. Second of all, no, unfortunately for you, I'm not an Ashkenazi in the sense of that I'm not from Ashkenaz. My ancestors were kicked out to Ashkenaz, but we belong here. We always did in Judea. I'm not from Amalek as far as I know. I'm not from Edom, so I'm not an Edomite either, and I'm not a convert. But even if I am, unfortunately for you, 100% Jew. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Do you even shower, says Bubby Brew. Yes, I do even shower. I even use shampoo. Shh, don't tell anyone. You are Khazarian, says Glutan. Okay, I always say, let's grant that proposition and say that a few hundred years ago, the kingdom of Khazar converted. I'm still 100% Jew. A convert is 100% a Jew. People have this stick up their butt. They do not understand how conversion works. They do not understand what it means to be a Jew and what it, in the sense of how you become a Jew if you're not a Jew. They simply don't get it. They have these terms that they hear, and they stick to them, and they have this confirmation bias in their head, and they go, oh, God, that's it. That dude is a Khazarian. That explains it all. I can hate him now. Whew. It's such a, it's so nonsensical. It's such an asinine way of moving around in the world. You come here to the chat, claim that I'm a Khazarian, when the people of Khuzar converted, which makes me 100% a Jew. And yet, you have so much, I guess, bitterness in your heart and so much toxicity on your tongue that you have to say it. You have to say it. You have to speak your truth. And fair enough. I'm not banning anyone. I'm not kicking anyone out. It's a free stream. Say your piece. Say what's on your mind. But you got to also face the facts. The facts are that if you're calling someone a Khazarian or a Khuzari, it means that you acknowledge that there was such a kingdom who converted to Judaism. And if they converted a few hundred years ago to Judaism, everybody, all of their ancestors, all of their progeny is 100% Jewish. Some people have a real difficult time accepting that. They want to be right. They want to think that they know better. Go ahead, by all means, keep on spewing your bile. Keep on saying what you want to say. If it makes you feel good inside, fine. Temporarily, it might. I wouldn't want to be there when that bitterness really starts to take over your heart. That would suck. How does it feel to be hated by 99.99% of the world? It doesn't feel good, but it's understandable. You gotta hate somebody, right? What did Nelson say? When he had that poster, nuke the whales? Lisa's like, nuke the whales? Gotta nuke something. Same deal. It's like, gotta hate something. Might as well be the Jews. You know what I'm saying? Also says, ideas or LDs LDs, these nuts, be thankful to America. Without us, there is no Israel. So let's put it this way. The alliance between America and Israel is strong. I still think that there should be a segregation and a separation, pardon me, at least temporarily, because America truly needs to be America first. Israel needs to develop its industry in order to be able to stand on its 2 feet without America's aid, potentially. Of course, there's still like a camaraderie between the 2 nations, and there's an alliance, and there's the exchange of information, and of industry, and of military, whatever, intelligence and stuff. But there needs to be a bit of separation, I think. Now, I am not a politician, and I am not, as I said, an academic. I have a very narrow view of things. I don't pretend to know otherwise. I'm just one simple dumbass. So, I'll say that there's probably a reason why America and Israel have their head up each other's ass. Maybe a very good reason that I'm not aware of. But yes, without America, there's a very good chance there would be no Israel. America was one of the nations, by the way, who sent people over in order to train the pilots in the War of Independence. So definitely, without America, there would be no Israel. And America has also vetoed different things over the years, being part of the Security Council, that were against Israel, and I'm thankful for that too. But there probably should be, if only temporarily, a kind of reprieve after this war that we went through now, and, you know, Iran and all that. There needs to be some point of separation for a little bit in order for each one of us to get our bearings, see what we're doing and how we continue to operate. So maybe we won't be that dependent on America. Not for money, not for munitions, and not for anything else. But it's not bad to have allies. It's a good thing to have allies in the world, especially if it's a superpower. Carlos says, I'm late to the party. Yikes, never seen so much drama in the chat. Yeah, nor have I. But you know I'm with you, Jonathan. Keep on rocking. I appreciate that, Carlo. I truly do. It's very nice of you to say. Yeah, hey, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun engaging here in the chat, and I'm sorry I can't get to each and every comment. It's going by so quickly. All right. Please be kind, says Viri Dosirema. Whoa, it's going by Odres 9105. Don't blame him for anything. He is not a politician. He doesn't make the rules, nor did he make any decisions in the world politics. Let him live his life in peace. Well, look, the fact that I'm here broadcasting to the world, so to speak, means that I'm also inviting in judgment, criticism, critique, hatred, and I accept all of that. I accept it with open arms, all of the trolls, all of the haters. Give me your trolls, your haters, your basement dwellers. Give me all of them. Just gimme. I have fun with them. I agree with them, right? I do. So if I wanted to live my life in peace, I wouldn't put myself out here on your screen. I would just not do it. But I don't want peace. Peace is something that you need to earn, right? I want to have some struggle in my life as well. I want to have struggle and strife to a very small amount, right? A very small amount, just enough that I can take in order for me to then, right, like we have the 6 days of labor, and then we have Shabbos. We don't have 6 days of Shabbos and 1 day of work. 6 days of work, 6 days of toil, 6 days of labor, 1 day of rest, 1 day of spirituality and Torah, dedicated to family, to chilling out, to learning deeper secrets. So I appreciate the sentiment, but it's not necessary. I deeply appreciate it, though. Thanks for sticking up for me. He's a Fed, Ofanim Cherub says. Assuming you're talking about me, I'm not a Fed. We have no federal government here in Israel. We are one tiny, tiny state the size of New Jersey. Yeah, something like that. We must work together to destroy jihad, says JKOZ5QN. Well, look, it's an ideology. I don't think you can destroy an ideology so quickly. But yeah, if it's going to happen, it will happen when we work together. It will happen when we de-radicalize the religious extremists. When we de-radicalize them, we will be able to speak to the masses more plainly, more clearly, build bridges, find common ground, find some common ground. And it's there. Israel and Ishmael are cousins. We are both considered Abrahamic faiths. We are both, some people say, worshiping the same God. We call it different things, right? But it's that creator, the benevolent creator, as it were, who put you and me on this earth. So, destroying jihad, I think we need to de-radicalize the people. And then it will be destroyed of its own accord. It will be destroyed of its own accord. That's what I'm saying. I might be wrong. Are you, oh, I'm sorry, a shy wheat demon says, you or an awesome guy, open-minded person for a religious guy? I chose atheism. Okay, look, one person told me years ago in the chat or in the comments, he said, don't be so open-minded that your brain will fall out. And I have the hills that I die on. I have the places where I stuck a flag in the ground and said, yes, this is what I believe in. These are my principles. These are my little believies. However, with everything else, it's up for debate. It's up for debate because I'm ignorant. It's up for debate because I'm not a know-it-all. It's up for debate because definitely there's more than what I don't know than what I do know, by definition. And as such, you people out there can educate me. You people out there can enlighten me and make me a little less ignorant, a little less dumb. So, yeah. But I appreciate the kind words, man. I really do, shy weed demon. What does the word goy mean? Goy means nation. Israel is also a goy. Goy means nation. So there's the goy of Israel, and there's the goy of this and that and the other. When people say goy, they mean somebody who is not of the nation of Israel. That's what that means. Are you a pedophile? Asks Bubby Brew. You're not the first one to ask. No, I have no sexual attraction to children, so I'm not a pedophile. No. Incidentally, pedophile is prepubescent and hebephile is postpubescent, something like that. Two different things. Now, and I say this only because halachically, not according to like state law, halachically, once a woman is 12 and 1 day, she is a woman. And once a man is 13 and 1 day, he is a man, right? Bar and bat mitzvah, you come of age. So halachically speaking, we don't follow these laws, right? But halachically speaking, hebephilia would be considered permissible. Pedophilia, not so permissible, depending on who you ask. Are you Deadhead? John Doe says, I love the Grateful Dead. I truly love the Dead. It's a lot of fun to listen to them. Me and my father spent and still do spend happy hours listening to bootlegs and talking about the different songs, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. The Grateful Dead are a great band. They really are. Not for everybody. When I first started listening to the Dead, when I was in my early teens, and I came to my father and I go, Pa, you know what? I say, Abba, it's not really sitting with me right now. And he said, look, it's an acquired taste. It's not for everyone. And it's true, it is an acquired taste. Not everybody can get into the Dead. Is it really you, Jesus? Says JLMC TCM. No, I'm not Jesus. And I'm not Osama bin Laden. I'm not Bob Marley. I'm, well, I guess I'm just me. I'm just a simple dumbass in the Middle East. Love your hair, says Abadir. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I do. Research the Aboriginal Australians, the oldest people living, still know the truth, says HEKZ1312. Yes, I know the Aboriginals. I know that they have their ways, but their ways are not the Hebrew ways. The Hebrews have their way, the Aboriginals have theirs. However, I think where we do meet is in spirituality, if not in doctrine, if not in ritual worship, if not in the conceptualization of God as such, in spirituality and having the physical body be a vessel for the spiritual and being able to elevate the physical body through action, word, and deed, right? Then on that we meet. Other things, maybe not. I don't know. Satan loves you, says Dr. Dre Willie. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So Satan in Hebrew, Satan, literally means adversary, right? Now, an adversary is something that challenges you. And just like I said that earlier, I want a little bit of strife, a little bit of struggle, right? A little bit of Satan in my life in order to challenge me. Not so much that I fail, not so much that I can't take it, not so much that I'm overwhelmed with tragedy, sadness, and woe that I brought upon myself, but just enough to challenge me, to cause me to go the extra mile, right? To force me to choose goodness, not because I'm used to it, not because it's habitual, but because it's something you need to choose all the time. All the time. You need to constantly be choosing good over evil. It's something that we do here in this world of good and evil. And I think that in that sense, Satan loves me and I love Satan because Satan, the adversary, is a messenger, is an angel. He's right? He was created. He's a divine creation, just like I am. He has his job. I have my job. His job is to set the stage. My job is to not fall for the trap. And so the Zohar asks this question, right? The Zohar says, let's say that there was a king who had a son, and he wanted to know if he should give him the crown, right? He wanted to test him. And so he hired a prostitute to seduce him, to cause him to sin. To sin means to go against, right, to miss the mark. And so he hired a prostitute to seduce him. And then the son, right, the crown prince, was able to withstand the test. And so the question is asked, is the prostitute worthy of shame or of some kind of honor? And they say definitely it's a more honorable thing that she did. Why? A, she listened to the command of the king. He gave her an order, she carried it out. B, it was through her that the son was able to truly learn something about himself and to know that he can withstand temptation that made him that much of a better king. Because he knows about temptation, he knows wickedness, he knows evil and malevolence, and he is able to still choose the right thing to do. That makes him that much more worthy. And so this prostitute, who everyone would say is a nobody and a wicked, no, it's through her that this goodness is being expounded on. And it's through her that a person like the crown prince was able to really, really accept the crown with greater humility, with greater knowledge, and with more awareness. And I give that, I'm paraphrasing the parable in the Zohar, but the gist of it, I got it right. So Satan loves me, Dr. Willie, and I love Satan to some degree, because we both have something to do in this world, right? The right hand, the left hand, part of the same organism, same deal. Okay, let's continue. Dexo says, Lo ta'alan lenisuyo elo paso lanmen bisho. I have no idea what that means. Can you please dumb it down for me? I'm ignorant. I have no idea what that means. Hail Satan, says Abikol. Hail! Beelzebub is my F, says Shyweed Demon. Not sure what your F means, but okay. Satan works for Hashem. Precisely. Satan works for the same master. Right? We both try to worship the same master. He does it his way, I do it my way. Try to do it my way. Now let me make this clear. Satan is doing a much better job than I am. He is setting the stage perfectly. He's great. He does a great job. However, there will come a time where the adversary also will be taken away. Right? When we partake of the fruit of the tree of life, and it's no longer a world of good and evil. It's no longer a world of life and death as a duality. It's life after life, right? Humanity phase 2, people, phase 2. Oh, I love chai. I love chai. I really do. So good. Opinions about Kabbalah and Klipot, says EEE 50404. So I have read different forms of Kabbalah since I'm 16. And I think that the klipot are, right, the klipot means a husk or a peel. In the very same way that the peel or the husk keeps the fruit ripe and protects it from outside influences and vermin or whatnot, in the very same way, right, Satan and the klipot are something that keeps things safe, let's say. Now, there are the klipot that are higher, there are the klipot that are lower, right? We are not supposed to put ourselves in a situation where we will fall prey to them, let's say. But Kabbalah is a wonderful path. If you're going to study Kabbalah, do it with a proper master. I beseech you, do it with a proper master, because you can get lost easily, terribly lost. If you don't study Kabbalah with a proper master, it's better to not do it, at least I think, at least in some forms of Kabbalah. It's better not to touch it without a proper master. Now, I am not a Kabbalist. I consider myself a student of the tree of life, plain and simple. And I consider myself, even after all these years, still but a student who is learning introductions of introductions to introductions. That's how I see it. So I'm no Kabbalist, but my opinions are that Kabbalah is the origin, right? It's explaining you how to receive the divine revelation through the 10 Sfirot. Through Kabbalah, you learn about the relationships between the 10 Sfirot, the way that they manifest in you as the image of God. The 10 Sfirot and the human body are one. Right? The human body and the cosmos are one. Everything is reflected in everything else. The relationships look different because of our perspective, but in truth, it's all one emanation that's split up, right? And it's all different revelations of the Most High God. God is not the 10 Sfirot, not in the least. God is not the light. God is not the vessel, right? God is something unknowable, unthinkable, unfathomable, untouchable. All we know is revelations of the Most High. Right, Duff Man? Yeah, you said it. All right. So that's my opinion on Kabbalah. It's a wonderful Torah. Now the thing is this, you don't derive halacha from the Zohar. So there are parts of Kabbalah where it's supposed to remain in the intellect, and you're supposed to keep it in your mind. Some things you're supposed to carry out in the world, but halacha is not, rabbinic law is not derived from the Zohar. And that says a lot. However, the Zohar is still Torah, which means that studying it does count. The Zohar and other texts still counts as limud Torah, study of Torah. But please, 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 do it with a proper master. Do it with a proper master. Now, there used to be many prohibitions. You had to be 40, you had to be married, you had to have kids, you had to learn tons of Shas and Poskim, right? Gemara, Mishnah, Talmud, Halacha. However, ever since the time of Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, the Lurianic master, the Arizal, Ha'elohi Rabbi Yitzchak, Zichrono Livracha, then the floodgates have been thrown wide open. Now, Lurianic Kabbalah is something that I studied a little bit here and there. I didn't get into it. What I did get into for the past over a decade now is the Kabbalah of the Ramak, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, who was the Ari's master back in Tzfat for a short time. And I've been learning his texts for just over a decade, or almost 11 years now, over a decade. And it's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's cold water on a thirsty soul is what that is, and I love it. So I'm very much a fan of Kabbalah, but you need to know what you're getting into. It needs to be a kosher type of Kabbalah. It really does. Otherwise, you can make so many mistakes, and you could get lost in so many different things. It needs to be from a kosher root, a kosher master, kosher texts, and that's what I think about it. Let's continue. Pray for the Iranian government, says Dave 3. Well, I pray that the Iranian government will lose its radical Islamic doctrine and way of being. I wish that it will be kinder to Israel, perhaps. You know, the Persian people, it was a great nation, and the Islamic Republic of Iran, it took over with the coup, the way it happened. And look, I'm not telling other people how to live. Far be it from me to do that. It just seems to me from talking with Iranians that if the Islamic government was overthrown and they would go back to being more secular, more open, that they would like that more. And only from my dealings with, like-minded Iranians am I saying that. Not because I know something better than the government of Iran. Although, stay out of Israel, I'd say. But other than that, I don't know what to say about them and their people. Far be it from me to stick my big schnoz into their local affairs. I just know from talking to Iranians that they're not interested in the religious oppression that is being forced on them. They're not interested in that. The minority, the very vocal and influential religious minority, is making the shot, right? Making the call and taking the shot for everybody there. And that's something that is not that great, I think. Not that great. Courtney says, new to the channel, are you Jewish? Yes, I am. And how are you, Courtney? How are you doing this fine, fine evening or morning, afternoon, wherever you are? Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Get a haircut for fuck's sake, says Michael Robinson. No, I don't think so. That would go against my vow. The Nazarite does not cut his or her hair, so no. Property of Alex says, everyone is blinded by ignorance towards historical and cultural differences caused by leaders with different interests. Yes, to everything there is an agenda. Everything, everything, everything. There's always an agenda. There's always some sort of a ruling. There's always some sort of something that they stick to, you know, whether it's the establishment, the industry, people who have money, people who have power, people who have both, people in politics, people who are greedy, people, it just, the list goes on and on and on. Now, we all have our faults. I have plenty of faults, but I'm not in a position to make any kind of ruling or you know, not make a bill or a law or make a call for anyone. It's like, and those people are, and that's partly why there's just such, Be kind, family. Hey, nice to see you again, Be kind. YouTube, why pretend you're all-knowing? Oh, so you're talking to YouTube, okay. I am Gentile and proud. I eat crab and pork, says Radbot, and so you should. Nobody's telling you to go in the ways of the Torah. Nobody is telling you to keep kosher. Nobody is telling you to only eat clean animals who were treated in a certain way and slain and slaughtered in a certain way. Nobody. You do your Gentile thing. The Hebrew faith is not about proselytizing. The Hebrew faith is not about taking over the world. The Hebrew faith is not about all of you should be Hebrew as well. Blah. Nothing of the sort. Never has that been the case. Palestine should be free, though. I agree. Free Palestine from Hamas. Free Palestine from religious extremism. Free Palestine from terrorism. Free Palestine from radical a-holes. Free them from all of that, and we can make peace. We can make peace with the people. If only they will just shed their indoctrination, the brainwashing, to hate Jews, to kill Jews, to think horribly of Jews, to think that what Allah wants most of all is for you to die and to take as many Jews as you can with you. The death cults are just a toxic, noxious, obnoxious thing. Yeah. I'm a vegan and want to be part of Judaism, says Sadie. Well, you know, hey, a fellow Jewish vegan here. I'm a vegan and I want to be part of Judaism as well. Are you afraid of gas and the chamber, says Rajna Rezanovich. Well, I'm not afraid of gas because I expel gas from my butt all the time. I'm not afraid of the chamber because there was actually a chamber in the temple called the Chamber of Nazarites, where the Nazarites who would fulfill their vow and complete it at the end of their days would go and they would cut the hair, drink the wine, make the offerings. So I'm not afraid of gas or chambers. However, I actually have been in a gas chamber when we were doing tear gas training in the army. So I have been in the vicinity of tear gas, and I have been as a medic as well. I was in the vicinity of gas chambers there. So yeah. So I'm not afraid of gas, I'm not afraid of chambers, and I'm not afraid of gas chambers. However, if it's the type of gas like the Cyclone B that was used at the time of the Nazi regime, that I am scared of. Not scared, I just wouldn't want it to happen to me. I would love to be afraid only of the Most High God. But I'm irrevocably human. Some things will scare me. I hope to fortify myself so that I will only be scared of Adonai, right? And nothing to fear but fear itself. Why no kippah, says Real Jack Matt? Because I have a Nazarite's crown that I'm trying to attain on my head. It says that the crown of consecration is on the head of a Nazarite. So if I would put a piece of fabric over my head, that would negate the vow, so to speak, and the crown that I'm trying to attain, right? I haven't attained it yet, make no mistake. But that's why there's no kippah. Furthermore, the kippah over the years has become a symbol of judgment, arrogance, division, infighting, and just a lot of horrible crap. And I don't want to be associated with that at all. So yeah. Penny for your thoughts, says Ariel. The Gemara asks, to where did Sancheriv exile the 10 tribes? Marzutra says he exiled them to Africa. Yes, Sancheriv, the king of Assyria, did many, many different things. He took people from all kinds of places and he moved them around. It says in the Talmud, Bas Sancheriv vebilbelet ha'umot. Sancheriv showed up and confused, right, and made a jumble of all of the nations. Now, Marzutra says that the 10 tribes were exiled to Africa. So, my thoughts, it's likely. The 10 tribes likely went to a specific place and then spread out all over. That's part of what we do, right? Everybody knows this. We spread out. Again, Haman, Achashverosh, that's what he tells him. I was a medic and nurse in the U.S. Army. Hey, good for you. So we have that in common. What is a penny for your thoughts? I'll even give you a quarter. Ariel, what do you think about it? Noiselike says, most people don't understand. They had to make the guys into the parking lot because Israel is tiny and cannot fight a war on 3 fronts with Yemen and Iran. It couldn't sustain a battle like that. That is true. We cannot sustain that battle long term. But the reason, I think, why Gaza turned into a parking lot has nothing to do with Israel. The reason is squarely one word, Hamas. That's it. That's what it is. We gave them every opportunity to come to the negotiations table. We gave them every opportunity for the corrupt leadership, whether it was the PLO or whether it was the Palestinian Authority, or whether it was Fatah, whether it was Hamas, whether it was the Al-Aqsa Brigades, whatever it is, we gave them so many opportunities, extended our hands in peace, and every time they shot at us or took a bite out of our hand. So you can't, that is really what's not sustainable. So yeah. War is horrible and terrible. May it be abolished even right now at this very moment. May we have peace. Property of Alex says, do you think Palestine and Israel are the same people divided by religious extremism? Well, we're not the same people, and we are. We're not the same people because we don't follow the same sort of doctrine and faith and traditions and rituals. We are the same people in the sense that we are just human beings trying to navigate through life. That plain and simple humanity. In that sense, we are very much the same. In the way that we are family, we are very much the same. Ishmael and Jacob are cousins. And religious extremism does divide us to a great degree, and both sides have extremism, both sides have radicals, both sides should chill the F out. That's what I'm saying. Peace be with Israel, says Rick V. Thank you. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. You should marry a Palestinian girl, says Sandro Social. Well, I married my woman over 20 years ago, so I don't think I'll be marrying a Palestinian girl. However, she's Palestinian in the sense that before it was called Israel, this place was called Palestine, the British Mandate of Palestine, right? Rome called it that. So she's kind of a Palestinian once removed. Does that help? Na Shena says, what if those Jews live in Iran? Should they still pray for the government of their residence country? They do. At gunpoint, maybe not at gunpoint, but they do. They really, truly do. Right? Heve mitpalel tamid bishloma shel malchut. That's what it says. Be always praying for the peace of the kingdom. So it's kind of that idea of shalom and malchut. Shalom is the masculine divine presence. That's one of its names. Malchut is one of the names of the feminine divine presence. Heve mitpalel bishloma shel malchut means also always be praying for the unification of the masculine and feminine divine presence, that new revelation may be brought, right, as a fruit of their union, in the very same way that the fruit of the belly comes forth after a union of a man and a woman. So I'm thinking that if you have people in Israel, Israeli people of the Israeli nation, who are praying for the well-being and the peace of the government of Iran, in its own little way, right? They're not saying, I pray for the continuation of the Islamic Republic. No, but it's that there will be peace. The peacefulness of the kingdom. In other words, yes, I do believe they still do need to pray for the Iranian government. The prayer should be of peace, Not let the Iranian government do whatever it wants all the time, we're cool with that. But no, be always praying for the peacefulness of the kingdom. That's crucial. The wording matters, right? The language counts. Do you keep Shabbat? Yes, I do keep Shabbat 25 hours. Real Jack Matt. Real Jack Matt, you honestly seem to have a problem with me. Nobody's keeping you here, man. Nobody's keeping you here. If you think that I am such an embarrassment, and if you think that I am such a wicked, evil person, so nobody's keeping you here, man. If you do want to have discourse, and if you do want to actually have a discussion, I am open to it, right? Until my grave, I'll be open to it. But you need to understand that you're making a ton of assumptions. I mean, now you're asking questions. Earlier, you were making a ton of assumptions, none of which you put any evidence forth for, or maybe you did in the chat and I missed it. Fair enough. But, I mean, yes, I do keep Shabbat. Super cool sweater. Thanks a lot, man. I love The Simpsons. I mean, I'm more of a golden age Simpsons. Seasons like 3 through 10, let's say. But, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Duffman. LMTH says, eternal equilibrium of infinite oneness, never-ending love and mercy, establishing justice through forgiveness in divine wisdom, for the highest good of all at the expense of none. Wonderfully put, beautifully. I'll read that again. I think it's awesome. Eternal equilibrium of infinite oneness, never-ending love and mercy, establishing justice through forgiveness. I would think it's the other way around, forgiveness through justice, but okay. In divine wisdom, for the highest good of all at the expense of none. Beautiful. Is that a quote? Is that you saying that? That's like poetry in motion. I love that. That's very cool. Very, very cool. Thank you for sharing those wise words. So what's the difference, says RIL 3Y400, between Judaism and Zionism? Well, Judaism is a set of commandments. Judaism is a tradition. Judaism is the 12 tribes of Israel, even though it pertains more to the kingdom of Judah and Jews. That became Judaism, right? Because we're the only ones left that are known, pretty much. I'm making a broad generalization. Zionism is two things. There's biblical Zionism that exists in the Torah, which means if you transgress, if you break the covenant does not break, but you will be kicked out. And when you repent, you will come back, or you will come back and you will repent. That's Zionism in the Bible, in the Torah, meaning you will always have Zion to long for, to go back to, if you get your shit together. That's Torah Zionism, Mosaic Zionism, right? And then you have modern day Zionism, which is not religious, but it basically has its roots in the fact that this is the ancestral home of the Jews, the place where the kingdoms of Judah and Israel actually physically were, which means that you can have a secular idea to march that forward, not base it on sacred texts, just base it on ancestral history. So that's the difference between Zionism and Judaism. With some people it coincides. Some people say, no, it's completely separate. There are no true Zionist Jews, because if you are a Zionist, you are de facto not a Jew. A Jew, they say, is supposed to wait for the divine mandate. They are supposed to wait for the divine revelation to take them, physically move them to the state of Israel. And until that happens, the Jews have no right to decide to do it on their own. Meaning that according to those folks, a Zionist cannot be a Jew cannot be a Zionist, and a Jew must be against the state of Israel, because that is God's will. A Jew must be against Zionism in its current incarnation, because it's God's will. But I am a modern-day Hebrew man. I live here. I was born and raised here in Jerusalem, right? So I served in the army. Now, I don't follow Zionism blindly. Zionism, modern-day Zionism, does make mistakes. Modern-day Zionism sometimes loses its grip on the spiritual origin from whence it came, and when it does that, it can very much look like a vacant enterprise without any real meat. And certainly with all of the strife, war, and bloodshed that's been going on for decades, it can look very, very bad and reflect horribly on modern-day Zionism. Nevertheless, despite all of its faults and shortcomings and ways in which it sucks, there is, I believe, a nugget of truth, justice, peace, and righteousness to it. And that's what I choose to focus on when I say the word Zionism. This idea of what is it that Zion represents? What is it that Zion is said to be? What it will be in the future? Also, we got to remember, Zion, there's rivers of blood flowing through this city. More than what to do, I have learned through history and reading the Bible what not to do. It's basically, don't be a dick, try to be kind to people. That's it. Do that, right? And you will have justice. Without justice, you can't have real peace. Without justice, you can't have real peace. You got to find a place where you meet each other through justice. And that means doing justice on your own as well, right? And holding them accountable and holding yourself accountable. That's the main difference as I see it. I might be wrong. Feel free to comment in the chat. Keep the conversation there if you think that I'm talking shit, if you think that I'm making sense. Property of Alex says, what do you think would cause peace between Israel and Palestine? De-radicalizing the population. That's what will bring peace. That's what will bring peace, because I think most people, eventually, if they get past the radical religious indoctrination, they will understand that they are talking to people. We are not pigs and dogs and apes, and they are not rats and... no, not in the least. They are people. I am a person, they're a person. We can talk like human beings who seek life. But if you grow up in a death cult that seeks death, that sanctifies death, that says that the will of Allah, the greatest, highest form of martyrdom, is to die in the name of Allah and take as many Jews as you can along with you, you can't talk to people like that. That's a barbaric and horrible conception of life and of death. So you can't talk to people like that. You defang the serpent, then you can make peace with it. Snowstorm says, Zionism just means that you believe the Jews have a right to self-determination in their indigenous lands. Not sure why people would oppose that, right? Like I said the other day, you wouldn't tell China to stop being Chinese. You wouldn't tell Italy to stop being Italian. You wouldn't tell Sweden to stop being for the Swedes or Swedish. You don't tell Israel to stop being Israeli. We definitely have, just as every other sovereign nation, right, and people, we have the right to do our thing in our land. Don't you think both sides are radicalized at this point, says Myodil Glick5. Oh my God, I am a foolish and stupid optimist, so I'm going to say no. No. No, the extremes are very radical. War has brought such a pain in the ass. This ongoing war for so many decades, so much bloodshed, so many innocent lives lost. Ugh, just fucking terrible. But no, not everybody is radicalized at this point. I have faith in our humanity, our shared humanity. There are human beings on both sides of this conflict, on all sides of every conflict. And I am stupidly optimistic. Foolishly, truly I am. Ugh. Ugly hair, says Maritime Life. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. You should see the rest of it. RIL says, oh, I have another question. What are your thoughts on the biblical figure Enoch, Hanoch? Well, I would love to be like him, right? To walk before God. Vayithalech Hanoch et ha'Elohim ve'einenu ki lakach oto Elohim. Right? Hanoch walked with God, and he was gone, for God took him. I would love to walk like that before God, like he told Abraham to do. Walk before me and be tamim. Tamim is translated as whole or blameless or perfect, but tamim, means plain and simple and complete in your actions. Now, we all have our faults, but that's definitely what I'm shooting for. I would love it if that would be the case. I would love it if I could just let go of all my bad habits and places in which I am debased to my lower urges. You know what I'm saying? And I would love to walk before God very simply. I mean, look, that's why I took my Nazarite vow. That's why I'm back in therapy. It's like I want to be the type of person who can communicate better, not be angry, be pleasant, be a lot more chill. I know I seem fairly chill here, but there are times when I lose my temper. There are times when I yell. And I just want to be a better communicator, because if you can talk And if you can articulate your speech, and if you can do so, chill, calm, pause, breathe, ground yourself, have some balance, right? You will be unstoppable. Unstoppable. And that's what I'm shooting for, right? Because I know that I can do better, and I know that I can be better. Chanoch was somebody who walked with God. That is what I'm shooting for. Now, obviously, God does not walk. God is not anything. He has no body, no legs, nothing of the sort. To walk before God means to me to manifest the divine revelation inside of me to such a degree that I am truly a personification, right? A personification of the image of God in which I was created. And when people would look at me, eventually, perhaps, if I merit it, they would be able to say, ah, there is somebody who is doing something good for creation. That's what I would like to get to. I'm not there yet, make no mistake. I'm not even close to that. There's work to do, a lifetime of work ahead of me. And may I merit the time to make tshuva, right? To return, to repent, to be able to do what I'm supposed to be doing. For sure. I would love that. I would love that for each and every human being, because we all have something special to give to the world. We all have something in which we, right, our own divine revelation that belongs squarely and only to us. And it's incumbent on us to put it forth and to bring it to the surface and to share it with the world, right? Just like Socrates, I think, said that it's a shame that a man should go, or a person should go to their grave not knowing what their body is capable of, right? And the Greeks at the time were very much into fitness. They were very much into, well, a lot of things, but beauty and fitness. And I'm of the same regard spiritually, and in this thing that you and you alone can give to the world. And what I'm saying is that I hope that I will merit my own gift to the world if I can figure that out, if I can get through it, if I could get through the crap and push through and tip the scales towards righteousness with humility and with kindness. And I wish that for everybody else, because what the Tao Te Ching, right? What does Lao Tzu say? Lao Tzu said in the Tao Te Ching, when each person is doing what they are supposed to be doing, we all are doing the same thing. Hi, says Robert Harrison. Hello, Robert Harrison. How goes your Christmas? Robert Harrison has been with me for a few good years now. It's amazing. It really is. Robert and Paula Harrison from North Carolina, you are the bomb. Hit the freaking like button, he says. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Like, don't like, hit the dislike button if you wish. It's all good. It's all engagement, and that's what we're here for. We're here to engage with each other, right? We're here to share some Torah. We're here to share a dialogue because we are here to find common ground, right? This channel is all about spirituality, religion, self-development, and faith, psychology, and, the way that we operate in the world. Now, I barely know anything about either one of those specific terms. It's like I know just enough to hold a conversation with people who are there to teach me better, to enlighten me, to bring me what I need to hear. Now, I won't always agree, but I will always, God willing, come with an open mind and an open heart and open arms, right, to embrace the dialogue as such, the conversation, the back and forth. It's a sacred thing, right? Language and speech is a sacred thing, or at least it has the potential. Hebrew is called Lashon HaKodesh, the sacred tongue. So yeah. Mr. D. Michael says, how do you properly pronounce the Tetragrammaton? So, I don't know how you properly pronounce it. In the course of the generations and after the destruction of the Second Temple, it was established that you read it, Yod Hei Vav Hei, with your eyes. What you speak is Adonai, Aleph Dalet Nun Yod. This is done for a reason. Yod Hei Vav Hei signifies the masculine presence. The word Adonai is the feminine presence. So when you have both of them and you say them together by reading one thing with your eyes and saying something else with your speech, you're able to have them both coincide at the same time. And that's how, even though it's not how you properly pronounce it, it was properly pronounced at the time of the temple. It was properly pronounced by the priests, by the regular folk. They would use it in everyday language. But throughout time, it was either lost or it was only kept within those who knew of it, and they're keeping it a secret. And then there are those who say, yes, it's supposed to be what other people call Jehovah, But no, I say Adonai, that's my tradition, and it speaks to me a lot more. It speaks to me a lot more. Definitely does, right? With the masculine and the feminine divine presence, because each name of the Most High God, including that one, Most High God, 3 different names, right? Including that, each of them pertains to a different divine attribute. And so when I say Adonai, Adon means master or Lord. When I say Adonai and I'm thinking Yod He Vav He, the Tetragrammaton, that is Haya Hoveh Yehyeh, was, is, and will be. And so we have this tension, let's say, between the two of them, where you have Yod He Vav He, which spans the entire gamut of the 10 Sfirot. And you have Adonai Aleph Daled Non Yod, which exists at the lower Sphira, right? So it's the human being who brings them together. It's the human being who utters these words, who has these thoughts. How do you properly pronounce it? I don't know. Other people might, but I don't. Cut your hair, hippie, says Gregory Baloney. No, I don't think I will. The Nazarite does not cut his or her hair. But thanks, I appreciate the suggestion. You'll hear how to pronounce it when you open the covenant of the Ark. Or you mean the Ark of the Covenant. Now, my people, traditionally, the Levites, were the ones who carried. Traditionally, I'm one of the family of Kehat or Kohat. And we were the ones who actually physically carried the Ark. Though the Midrash says that the Ark floated above the hands of the Levites. And yes, the Ark is missing. That much is correct. All of the artifacts are missing, except for certain artifacts that are built and others are being built by the Temple Institute here in Jerusalem. And if you walk in the old city of Jerusalem, you will be able to see the 7-candled menorah as it was mandated. You'll be able to see the different clothing of the priests and the high priest. You'll be able to see so many different things and an altar, and just as it's set out in the Torah. It's beautiful to behold. It really is. Let's continue. How can I make peace with God and go to heaven, says Very Happy. I have no idea. First, you start with talking to God and talking to yourself and figuring out what God means to you. I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. Your revelation might be completely different. Your conceptualization of God is completely different. So I have no idea. But you could say that if you want to make peace with God, it starts with making peace with yourself. Peace between your good parts and your bad parts. Peace between your malevolent urges and your benevolent urges. Peace between your good deeds and your bad deeds. That means coming to an acceptance about who you are and what you ought to be doing. Not in a judgmental way, not in a preachy way, not in an oppressive sort of way, because that's being a tyrant, and you don't want to be a tyrant. You want to truly listen to yourself. You want to talk to yourself every single day, talk to God every single day, as if you don't know who you are, as if you don't know what you're doing. Very plain, very simple, tamim, right? Walk before me and be perfect. That's how you attain perfection. And it's not even perfection, it's a kind of wholeness, right? Because you will always be carrying flaws. You will always be carrying trauma. You will always be carrying something that is a shortcoming. You fall short of the ideal all the time, fall from grace every day. But as long as you are in the ongoing process of reaching the ideal, pursuing that faraway star, you know what I'm saying? You will be able to reach a point where you tip the scales and revelation will be revealed to you if you build the vessel. And you build the vessel through commitment, dedication, devotion. But first of all, it's be kind and talk to yourself, talk to God, see how you take it from there, spontaneously, like I'm talking to you right now. Thank you, my brother. Cool. Orthodox Jew, says Charlie James. Well, I used to be more Orthodox, but I grew up modern Orthodox here in Jerusalem. I still keep halacha, but not as strictly. I took a step away from strict halacha. May you tell me your idea of heaven, says Nectar Strokes. My idea of heaven is that it's a waiting room. So first of all, there is Eden, right? There's a lower Eden and a higher Eden. These are spiritual places that exist in parallel with our physical world. So heaven is a waiting room. Right? If you merit it, you will go and await there, let's say. And there's a grand yeshiva there and lots of other worldly Torah there. Because it's a Torah that exists in the spiritual and has not yet come into the physical world is a whole other thing. And you have there the conceptualization of a higher Eden and a lower Eden in the sense of the divine revelation and how close or far it is to you. I say close and far, but in the spiritual realm, there is no top, bottom, bottom, up, right, left, down, yes, no. None of that exists there. These are all phrases that we use and terms, physical terms that we bring into the picture in order for us to understand what is being conveyed to us and what it is that we are supposed to do with these teachings. Right? Torah speaks in the tongues of men and women for people, written by people for people, right? But divine origin, yes, but written by people for people. And so, my idea of heaven is that it's but a waiting room. Heaven is not the end goal. The end goal, and later there will be another goal, right? Humanity phase 2, coming as one, back to Eden, partaking of the fruit of the tree of life. And then we walk into a whole other reality that I know nothing about. But heaven is a waiting room, right? Where the souls that have completed their mission in the body says goodbye, the soul is elevated, right? The soul goes up, so to speak, the body goes down to the earth, so to speak. And then when we partake of the fruit of the tree of life, there's what's called the resurrection of the dead, right? And that's truly living. It's not living as opposed to death that came into the world in the story of creation. That's a duality. The life of the fruit of the tree of life is a singularity, not a duality. So there's no life after death. There's life after life. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. That's my conceptualization of heaven. It's really just the tip of it. There's a lot more that I could say about it, but let's continue. Real Jackmat, I'm ignorance of Nazarite. My apologies to you. I'm from Texas. Curious on Shabbat to say Kiddush. So yes, I do Kiddush on Hapat, on the challah. I take 2 challahs, I put them one on top of the other, and I make Kiddush. But I don't drink any alcohol. Nazarites who do drink alcohol, because it is allowed, you're just not supposed to consume anything of the grape. Nazarites who do drink alcohol can drink pomegranate wine, right? That's another wine, right? They can drink blueberry wine. That's another type of wine. Some berries have wine. Maybe it's not blueberry. Maybe I'm mistaken. But yes, so you can say Kiddush, and if you look in the halacha, it says, you don't have to be a Nazarite at all. It says, if you have no wine, you use the bread. So I take 2 loaves of challah bread, I put them one on top of the other. At night, the Kiddush is on the lower one, that's the feminine. And during the day, the Kiddush is on the higher one, that's the masculine. And in the third meal, Shalosh Sidus, Seudah Shlishit, it's both of them together, side by side. Okay, let's continue. Is Reform Judaism, Cinnamon says, and then they were cut off. So I don't know anything about Reform Judaism. I have spoken to Reform Jews, and I don't know anything about it really. I can't pass judgment. I can't make any kind of I can't really speak of it. Let's continue. Plum wine. Okay, plum wine, for instance, yes. So that's how Nazarites would make Kiddush, either al-hapat, the bread, or a different wine that is not from the grape. Those are the traditional ways of doing it. Same thing with the Seder cups. There are 4 cups of wine drunk in the Seder. I don't drink wine, so I use apple juice because the Nazarite rabbi Rabbi David HaKohen, who died in 1973, he used to do it with apple juice. And so when I became a Nazarite, I decided to carry on his tradition of drinking 4 cups of organic apple juice at the Seder table. And that's what I do. Jew alert, says Kirk Leon. You're darn tootin' right, it's a Jew alert. Yes, in heaven we have spiritual sex. There you go. Getting some spiritual. Oh yeah. Remember when Mel Brooks was an Indian chief who spoke Yiddish? Definitely, in Blazing Saddles. I love Mel Brooks. Are you a Messianic Jew? No, I'm not. I grew up in Rabbinic Orthodox Judaism here in Jerusalem. I'm not a Messianic. I don't believe that Jesus is Messiah. I believe he was a potential Messiah until he died. And that's it, because we're all potentially Messiahs until we die. But once he died, that's it. Can you follow a conversation? Asks YouTuber. I can follow, if you're talking to me, I try to follow, but the chat is going by so quickly. I have difficulties following specific people in the chat. My apologies. I'm not able to do it. Wow, he's a riot. May the Schwartz be with you. And you. Hey, Zakiv. Wow, liquid Schwartz. Does your doctrine say to target women and children in war? No. The doctrine says If there is an enemy that is hiding behind women and children, do whatever you can to spare the lives of women and children, non-combatants, even if they're not women and children. However, if it's my life or the life of the enemy, I will take out the enemy. And if the enemy is hiding behind women and children, if the enemy is putting missiles and rockets in mosques and schools and hospitals, then they no longer have the protection of any convention and any rules of engagement whatsoever. Because this is war. This is not a fairy tale. This is not singing in the rain. It's fucking war. And so, the doctrine is that you need to spare life whenever you can, which is why, over the years, Israel has done many things to spare the life of the innocent. And, right, including telling people, we're going to bomb this place, get out. Including sending text messages, including dropping leaflets, giving people advance warning in all kinds of ways, because we don't want innocent people to die. However, there's only so much you can do, and only so much that you can take before the enemy truly does bring it upon themselves. And so if you have any kind of doctrine that you want to discuss or argue against that says targeting women and children is wrong, I would be side by side with you. Targeting women and children is wrong. Targeting non-combatants is wrong. But we are not fighting an army. We are fighting terrorists who are hiding behind women and children, using them as human shields, and then crying bitter tears for the loss. They don't give a shit. They don't care about their people. If Hamas cared about their people, truly, they would have taken the billions of dollars of aid, build bomb shelters, do something. However, they didn't. And they didn't even let the civilian population use the tunnels. The tunnels that were greater than the New York City subway or the underground in London. I don't remember which one. But they didn't. They said, fuck the civilian population. We're going to sacrifice them all in the name of Allah for our lofty goals, and we will be rewarded for it. Of course we're doing the right thing. Hamas, according to their doctrine, speaking of doctrine, and according to their charter, are doing precisely what they set out to do. Islam should rule this region. The end. That's what they're doing on the backs of millions of their own people. So yeah. Have you even found anything inside those tunnels? Yes, hostages, other people from Hamas who were hiding, tons of things. Yes. Snowstorm says, from your experience, do you find that more Jews are moving back to Israel from other parts of the world, given the concerning expansion of Islam and that we are seeing from them in the West? In my experience, more Jews are moving back, yes. But I don't have that much experience with welcoming olim, right? Welcoming those who are coming in. I'll welcome them if look, I admire the crap out of anyone who takes the plunge and is able to make that ballsy move and come to live in Israel. It is so difficult to uproot yourself and go live in the Middle East. Oh my God, that is such a significant change on so many levels. I appreciate anybody who does it. So I have great respect for anybody who makes aliyah. And Jews are learning now more than ever, maybe, that they are not safe. They're not safe. It's not safe to be a Jew in the diaspora. I mean, you could say it's not safe to be this or that in the diaspora either, but Jews are learning that indeed. So, yeah, the tables are unfortunately starting to turn. There's a lot more Jew hatred from what people have been telling me. A lot of anti-Semitic sentiment permeating everything, more than there was recently. But like I say, it doesn't take a lot to get that going. That's like baked right into a lot of cultures and religions and whatever. So, yeah. Do you believe Jews have more robust souls than non-Jews? No. I know that Hasidus and other people say that we have a divine soul and the Gentiles have like a less divine soul, if you will, like more of an animal soul. I don't think that's true in the least. I think human beings, as such, were made in the image of God. In Eden, we didn't have Jews and Gentiles. We did not have Israel and nations. We didn't have other cultures, we didn't have other tongues, we didn't have other religions. We had God, the revelation of God, mankind, nature, chilling out, all of us naked, the naked revelation of God, the naked people, naked nature. And how good did we have it there? So no, I am not of the opinion that Jewish souls are better than any other souls. I believe that souls of human beings have the capacity to manifest through the body made in the image of God. But that belongs to all of humanity with no exceptions whatsoever. And I say that to people when they ask me, yeah, that's what I think. And I have plenty of Hasidic friends. I have plenty of Hasidic friends who honestly do believe that Jews have a divine soul and the Goyim, as it were, have like an animal soul. But none of them would deny the fact that human beings were made in the image of God to begin with. They simply mean that there is a kind of different path to follow for the Jew, and the Jew has a different task to fulfill, a different mission to accomplish that's unique to the people of Israel and to the 12 tribes. In that sense, we are called to the divine in a different way, in a Hebrew way, which the nations are not. And there's a difference in the soul there, right? There's a difference in the soul. The soul feels a calling towards something unique. To use divine soul and animal soul, that's a little too much for me. I like the idea of a unified human race. And you won't become a unified human race eventually if you go in there thinking that my soul is better than your soul. No, Adonai did not say the soul belongs to Jews. No, he said, right, that man should be a living soul in Eden. No Jews, no Gentiles. That's what I'm saying. Beast soul is Kabbalah. Jesus spoke about it. So does Ecclesiastes, sort of. Yes, I agree. There is a nefesh behemit. There is a beast soul, of course. The thing is that that's not unique to the Goyim. I have that too. I have a divine soul, and I have a beastly soul, an animal soul. The Goyim, the nations, have a divine soul and an animal soul. We both have both, right? The wolf you feed, so to speak. Actually, you need to feed both wolves. You need to feed both wolves, but you need to know what to feed each wolf so neither one of them gets sick, right? My wife says I'm a real animal, says Mr. Meaner. Good for you. As long as you treat her with respect, as long as you get consent, as long as you, don't hurt her more than what she wants, yeah, go for it, man. Get some. This guy isn't argumentative, though, says Mark Jameson. Oh, well, I don't know if you're talking about to someone else or might be. I don't know. No, I'm not argumentative. I'll make an argument, but I'm not argumentative in the sense that I'm here to go against. I'm here to debate. Not even to debate. I'm here to have discourse and about things that are debatable. See the difference there? Okay. I remember the story of the two wolves, says J.J. Cross. Yeah. Now, which is the wolf which is the wolf that survives, or which is the wolf that grows? And he answers, the one you feed. And the thing is that you need to feed them both. You need to do that Jungian shadow work, right? You need to know what to feed your dark sides, and you need to know what to feed your lighter sides. And both of them require sustenance. The thing is that you can elevate the dark side, right? It's still there, but it's elevated. You still take a piss like every other human. You still fart like every other human. You still eat and drink like every other human. But for instance, in that case, right, you wash your hands after you go to the bathroom and you say a certain prayer, right, of thanksgiving for the body and its miraculous nature. Before you eat, before you drink, you say a blessing. You say a quick grace in order to unify the physical and the spiritual, to elevate them as one together in the human body made in the image of God. So yeah, you feed both wolves, but different quantities, different times, different places. To give the devil his due is a real thing. Definitely a real thing. Holy Mother of Jew, Batman, says Cuddly Crawlers. Cuddly Crawlers? That reminds me of my kids. They're cuddly crawlers. Please reply, says Nectar. If you could go back in time, would you stop Eve from eating the fruit of knowledge? No, I don't think so, because it's Yeridat Tzorech Aliyah. Here's the thing. I don't think that the sin was eating from the fruit. I said this the other day. Eating from the fruit and doing what God told us not to do, that's human. We're curious. Someone says, don't do that. Screw that. We're going to go do it. We are curious. And she looked at that fruit, and it looked so good. And she went and she did it. That wasn't the real sin. The real sin, where they really missed the mark, was when God told Adam, Ayeka, where are you? And instead of Adam saying, I'm here, I'm sorry, we messed up, please give us another shot, I know that we can do better. Instead of it, when God says, oh, who told you you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree, of the fruit of the tree I told you not to eat from? And he says, it was the woman, she did it, the woman that you get. And that's the real sin. Okay, let us continue. So Property of Alex says, actually Adam ate the apple and blamed it on Eve. It wasn't an apple. It doesn't say apple anywhere in the Bible. Yes says, when you people like you give law priority to Torah, Talmud, Kabbalah, all depending on circumstances. I'm sorry, is that you setting up a question? Or is that you asking a question? What kind of a when is it? Is it a preamble to a question, or is it a question in of itself? All right, I don't know. I really don't know, but okay. I'll try and read it again. Maybe I'm missing something. Whoa, you know what? It's 12:30. It's 12:30. I've been going for 2 hours. Whew. Okay, I think I'm going to say goodbye. People, this has been such a blessing. I think I'm going to say goodbye. Before I say goodbye, I thank you all for your kind attention and your gentle, demeanor here with me here. Thank you for enlightening me. Thank you for enlivening me. Thank you for the discourse, the subs, the views, the likes, the hasty swipes. Whatever it is, I thank you. I don't take it for granted that you take time out of your day, out of your busy life. And I hope that you will come see me again on another live stream. I don't know if it will be tomorrow or Saturday night. One of them, I think I'll go. Hell, maybe both. I don't know. So today I went live twice. Once in the morning for the people who, and once now for the people in North America, in that area. This has been such a blessing. Such a blessing. And as always, just to bring it down from the ether of the intellect into the nasty, stanky funk of life and reality, I'll just say that we were made in the image of God. We have a task to fulfill, Jews and Gentiles alike. But it comes down to being good people. Let's try and be a blessing, and let's try and shed some light in other people's lives, and let's try and be the type of person that people can connect to, find common ground with, build bridges with, right? Towards unification, to work towards unification. And it starts with us, it starts with the individual. This has been so pleasant. This has been such a good... So until tomorrow or Saturday night, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. Thank you. And if you want to leave a comment, I'll be up for a little bit and I'll be in the comments. It will go private immediately after I push end stream, but then a minute later it will be public and you can post a comment if you want me to address it. Please do so. Until we meet next time, good night from Jerusalem. You guys are awesome. Truly you are.